I paid 10Ks for cabin retreat. Her parents kicked me out for her European brother. Then I found out they're setting her up with another guy. Beamy, 28 years old. Been sitting on this story for weeks, debating whether to post it. But screw it. Sometimes you just got to let that toxic shit out. Need to vent, and maybe some of you will get where I'm coming from. So I'm a 28-year-old dude, and I've always been my family's designated problem solver. And human ATM, you know, the type. The responsible one who silently handles everything, while everyone else lives their best carefree lives. Since graduating college, I've basically been the invisible backbone, holding my family up financially. Dad's a high school teacher who coaches football on the side. Mom works part-time at a veterinary clinic. They've always struggled with money management. My younger brother, Tyler, is 25. Your classic, still figuring life out type, who's been floating in and out of community college for 7 years. My sister Sophia is 23. She's the Instagram wellness influencer girl, whose bank account permanently says insufficient funds. The financial support started small. Tyler needed textbooks. Sophia's car needed repairs. Mom and Dad were short on their gas bill. Normal stuff that family helps with. But over time, it morphed into something else entirely. When Tyler got kicked out of school for forgetting to submit financial aid forms, guess who paid the $400 to get him reinstated? Me. When Sophia quit her barista job to find her purpose and couldn't make rent for 4 months. That was $4,200 from my account. And when my parents' AC system died mid-August, I fronted the $13,500 for a new one. I co-signed Tyler's car loan because his credit score was basically non-existent. I quietly set up auto payments for my parents' utilities after noticing their power flickering during a visit. Turns out they were 90 days behind. I sent Sophia 3-tune for a second car after she totaled the first one by forgetting oil changes were a thing. The craziest part is that I never complained. Not once. My grandfather, tough old Colorado rancher type, was my model growing up. He handled business quietly. No drama, no seeking validation. Just silent competence. That's how I operated. Take care of your people. Don't whine about it. I make decent money in medical equipment sales. Not rolling in cash, but comfortable enough to help out, while still building my own life. My apartment's modest. My car is reliable, but not flashy. My only real splurge is my fishing gear. Quality stuff that lasts, and that brings me to what this story is really about. The Colorado fishing trip. This wasn't just any vacation. This was sacred territory. My grandfather built that cabin with his bare hands in the early 80s. 3 bedrooms, hand-cut logs, a stone fireplace that heated the whole place. It sits on 50 acres that backs up to National Forest. The kind of spot where you stand on the porch at sunrise and see nothing but trees and mountains for miles. I caught my first trout there at 13, cleaned it myself while Grandpa supervised. Every Memorial Day weekend since I was a kid, the men in the family would head up there for a week. No phones, no distractions, just fishing during the day and genuine connection around the fire at night. After Grandpa died, the cabin went to my dad and Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave's cool, perpetually late to family dinners, but never, and I mean never, misses a fishing trip. As we got older, I naturally took over planning these trips. Booking the cabin time, other relatives sometimes use it. Making sure licenses and permits were sorted. Coordinating supplies. For the past 6 years, I even fronted the deposit. $400 that I'd wired directly to the lodge office that manages maintenance when we're not there. Was I detail-oriented about it? Hell yes. I made spreadsheets, I had checklists, I mapped fishing zones. But that's because I actually give a damn about things going well, about everyone having a good time, about nobody getting lost in the woods, or accidentally hooking themselves because they didn't check their equipment. So when my sister set up a family video call in October, I figured it was to lock in dates for the trip. I had already sent in the deposit, and I was ready with my planning documents. I joined the call from my apartment, camera on, headphones in, prepping to run through dates, weather predictions, and even who was bringing the damn beef jerky this year. Dad, Mom, Tyler, Sophia all on screen. Everyone seemed weirdly giddy, like they were sharing some inside joke I wasn't part of. "Hey guys," I said, pulling up my fishing prep document. "So, I've got the deposit in for the last week of May, same as always." I was thinking we'd dive right into logistics. Oh my God, wait till you hear what happened at wellness coach training, Sophia interrupted, practically bouncing in her seat. This guru from Costa Rica showed up and chose me to demonstrate the advanced meditation pose. What the hell? I waited for someone to acknowledge what I'd said. Nobody did. Tyler jumped in with some story about a professor who gave him an extension just because he liked my energy. Mom started rambling about a new smoothie recipe she found on social media. Dad kept nodding along, occasionally chuckling, like everything was just so damn amusing. I sat there for a full hour. Not a single mention of the trip. Not once. Finally, I spoke up. So are we confirming the fishing trip dates, or what? Mom looked at Dad. Dad looked at Tyler. Tyler suddenly needed to check his phone. Oh, we'll figure all that out, Dad said, waving his hand dismissively. You always get so worked up about the details, Marcus. Try to relax a bit this year, will you? Leave the spreadsheets at home. Sophia giggled. Yeah, this year is going to be different. The energy is going to be amazing. Different? What the hell did that mean? The call wrapped up without any actual plans being made. I hung up feeling unsettled, like I had missed something obvious. The next morning, I texted Tyler. So, are we locking in the Colorado dates or what? Need to request time off work. No response. 9 hours later, I tried again. Dude, I need to tell my boss by Thursday. Are we doing the usual week? Nothing. Radio silence. I figured he was being his usual flaky self, so I called my dad that night. Straight to voicemail. Same with my mom. Weird, but not unprecedented. Cell service at their place can be spotty. What was unprecedented was 4 days of nobody responding to texts or calls. Finally, I called Uncle Dave. He's always straight with me. Uncle Dave, what's going on with the fishing trip? Nobody's responding to my messages. Silence on the line. Then, you didn't go with them? My stomach dropped. Go where? To the cabin they left 3 days ago. I sat down slowly. The cabin? Our cabin. The trip we've been doing together for nearly 2 decades. They just went without me. There must be some mistake, I said. Maybe they thought I couldn't make it. I don't think so, buddy. Your sister posted photos on Instagram yesterday. Looks like they brought her boyfriend instead. Her boyfriend Blake. Effing Blake. Let me tell you about this dude. Blake, 26 going on 17. Works at a trendy smoothie bar and calls it his nutritional artistry career. Wears snapbacks in winter. Has a tattoo of a dream catcher that doesn't even look native. The kind of guy who calls himself a nature enthusiast, but gets winded walking up 2 flights of stairs. This dude once asked me if bass were just fancy goldfish, and if you could eat raccoons. He literally referred to trout as water chickens in a completely serious conversation. The one time he came over to my place for a family dinner, he spent 30 minutes explaining why he doesn't use deodorant daily, because it disrupts your natural aura. His idea of outdoor preparation is buying granola bars and a new phone case with a mountain design on it. I got to go, I told Uncle Dave and hung up. I immediately opened Instagram. There they were, my family at our cabin. Dad, Tyler, and Blake posing with fishing rods on the front porch. Blake wearing what looked like brand new fishing gear, price tags barely removed. Sophia's caption, Annual Memorial Day fishing trip with my favorite guys. My hands were shaking. I scrolled more. A photo of them around the fireplace. Blake in the middle telling some story with his hands in the air. Everyone laughing. Another photo of breakfast in the kitchen. Blake apparently made pancakes shaped like animals. I texted Tyler again. So you all went to Colorado without telling me. 25 minutes later, he finally responded. Thought you knew. Figured you were busy with work or something. Bullshit. Complete bullshit. I request this time off every year. Everyone knows this. I called my sister. She actually picked up. Oh, hey, Marcus, she said, sounding distracted. Voices and laughter in the background. My cabin, my trip, what the hell, Sophia? You all just decided to go without me? Don't be so dramatic. We thought you'd be cool with it. You're always so stressed about these trips anyway. Stressed? I plan these trips. I pay for these trips. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You make everything so intense. Blake offered to come, and honestly, it's been way more fun this way. He keeps things light. I heard Blake's voice in the background. Is that your brother? Tell him I got a whiteboard and made a fishing strategy flowchart as a joke. It's hilarious. They were literally mocking me. My planning, my organization, the things that made these trips actually successful. Sophia continued. We just wanted someone who keeps things fun, not intense like you always are. I hung up, didn't trust myself to respond. An hour later, my mom called, probably feeling guilty. Honey, don't take it personally. Blake really makes everyone laugh. You tend to suck the fun out of things when you're too serious. I paid the deposit for that trip, I said flatly. Wine $400 non-refundable. Oh, we'll pay you back. Blake brought a whole cooler of steaks to contribute. Like that was equivalent to my financial contribution and years of planning. My dad called next. His approach. Son, you just overdo everything. It's supposed to be relaxing. You act like it's boot camp with all your schedules and rules. Rules like don't point fishing hooks at people and check the weather before heading out. Those kinds of rules, Dad. See, this is what I'm talking about. So uptight. I ended the call and sat in my dark apartment. I could feel something shifting inside me. Not rage exactly. Something colder, more calculated. They didn't forget me. They didn't misunderstand. They replaced me with a guy whose outdoor experience consisted of drinking kombucha on brewery patios, and they did it using my money. But I had enough of being their eternal safety net, ever since I became the reliable one. So that night, I opened my laptop and made a spreadsheet. One final spreadsheet. Every automatic payment I had set up for my family, every recurring transfer, every bill I quietly covered, every loan I'd never expected to be repaid. The total made me physically ill. $4,300 over the past 2.5 years alone. I remember thinking they want Blake's energy so much. Let's see how they like my energy when it's gone. I logged into my bank account and got to work. Just precision, without hesitation. First up was Tyler's tuition account. I'd been covering payments through the school portal, like some behind-the-scenes sponsor. That access gone? He'll find out when the next bill hits, and nobody's there to foot it. Then Sophia's car insurance. She linked it to my card last spring. Said she'd Venmo me monthly. Never did. I pulled the card info, killed the payment method, and blocked the account. Let her figure it out between meditation poses. My parents' utilities came next. I'd set up autopay for their gas, water, and electric. When they started missing due dates, I disconnected every service, reset every login. If the lights go out, they'll know why. The emergency credit card I gave my dad, the one meant for actual emergencies, had slowly turned into his personal tap. I shut it down mid-cycle. No warning, no replacement. And that quiet $420 I'd been transferring to help cover their mortgage shortfall every month. The one they never acknowledged but always counted on. Cut off, canceled. It took less than an hour to undo years of support. They never saw it coming, but they were about to feel every single click, all without a single word of explanation. And remember that one-year $400 cabin deposit I'd paid. I had documentation for it. Email confirmation, receipt, bank record. I knew they wouldn't pay me back. I contacted my lawyer friend Eric, explained the situation as calmly as I could. He thought for a minute, then suggested a simple but beautiful move. Filed the $1,400 as an official family loan repayment from my sister, since she was the one who'd posted the trip photos. We're not suing or anything, he explained, just documenting that she repaid a portion of what she owes you. It's all above board. I didn't tell them about this. Just let it process through the system. Legal, documented. A time bomb waiting to go off when tax season came around. Then I waited. It took exactly 10 days for the first cracks to appear. I received a text from Tyler. Hey, there's some issue with my student portal. Says payment declined. I read it, didn't respond. 4 days later, Sophia. WTF, my insurance got canceled. They said payment didn't go through. I'm driving tonight. Need this fixed ASAP. Again, read. No response. My parents lasted almost 3 weeks before my mom called in a panic. Marcus, the electric company, says our auto pay account is inactive and the gas bill is past due. Is something wrong with your bank? No, I said flatly. My bank is fine. Well, can you fix it? They're threatening to shut us off. I'm not fixing it. Silence. Then what do you mean? I mean, I'm not paying your bills anymore. Is this because of the fishing trip? Are you seriously that petty? It's not petty to stop supporting people who don't respect me. We respect you. We just wanted a more relaxed trip this year. So relaxed you didn't even tell me it was happening. So relaxed you used my money to do it. It's not like that. I hung up, let them connect the dots themselves. The texts and calls started pouring in after that. Accusations, guilt trips, anger, panic. I muted them all. My dad tried a different approach a few days later. Son, whatever point you're trying to make, you've made it. This little tantrum needs to stop. Yeah, a freaking tantrum. Interesting word choice. Like I was a child refusing to share toys. Not an adult who'd been systematically exploited, then discarded. It's not a tantrum, I replied. It's a boundary. Then I blocked his number. Uncle Dave was the only one I kept in contact with. He called after about a month of this. Your parents are freaking out, he said. Your mom's crying all the time. Did they tell you what they did? Yeah, shitty move on their part, I'll admit. But isn't this getting out of hand? Actually, I think things are finally in hand for the first time, I said. They made their choice. They chose Blake. His good vibes don't come with financial support attached. My uncle was quiet for a moment. The cabin was important to you, wasn't it? More than just a trip? It was the one thing I asked to keep sacred. The one tradition that mattered to me. For what it's worth, I told them they screwed up big time. It wasn't worth much, but I appreciated him saying it. 4 weeks after cutting them off, I stayed quiet. No texts, no hints, just silence. But I needed to see it, not hear about it. I wanted the front row seat to their unraveling. So I made the drive out to the old neighborhood, parked a few houses down, just out of view, rolled the seat back, sipped my coffee, and waited. Not out of spite, not even revenge. I just wanted to know what it looked like. When reality finally showed up uninvited. Didn't take long. A tow truck showed up like a summoned demon. The guy walked straight up to my brother's Honda. Yes, the one I co-signed. There was a whole dance of excuses and frantic phone checks, arms flying everywhere. But it ended the only way it could, with the car getting lifted and hauled off, repossessed just like that. He kicked over a trash can, like that was going to change the payment history, then vanished inside. Mail showed up next. My mom stepped outside and flipped through the stack. I watched her stop dead on one envelope. Bright red block letters across the front. You didn't need to see the wording to know what it said. Her face did all the talking. She clutched it like it burned. Then came my sister storming up the driveway, like a Category 5 hurricane. Different car, definitely not hers. She didn't knock, just launched into full volume rage. The moment the door opened, hands flying, phone in one hand like she was holding Exhibit A. Didn't need audio. I've seen that argument 100 times. The how could this happen to me meltdown. And just when I thought the show was over, the blue Toyota rolled up. Blake, the human Spotify playlist. He went inside for a short visit, left with a duffel bag and zero eye contact. Guy probably thought good vibes could pay the water bill. I sat back, sipping cold coffee that tasted like the end of an era. No gloating, no high-fiving myself. Just clarity. Eventually, my dad came out and sat on the steps. And just sat there, elbows on knees, head in hands. Not the head of the family. Just a man who bet on convenience over loyalty and lost. That's when my phone rang. It was Tyler. I stared at the buzzing phone for a few seconds. Almost let it go to voicemail. But something made me swipe to answer. What? You cut everyone off? He said flatly. It wasn't even a question, just a blunt accusation. You replaced me on a trip I helped pay for with Blake. Did you seriously think nothing would happen? A long, uncomfortable silence stretched out. You didn't even ask for the money back, he finally said, his voice weaker than before. Neither did any of you, I shot back. Not once, not ever. This can't seriously be about money, Tyler muttered, almost pleading. It's never been about money, I said coldly. It's about respect, something none of you bothered to show me. Another tense pause followed, filled only by the faint sound of his breathing. Blake bailed, he admitted quietly. The second things got rough, he was gone. I scoffed softly. I'm shocked. Sophia's car got repossessed yesterday. Sounds rough, I said dryly. Dad's freaking out about the mortgage. He's literally having panic attacks. Maybe he can make a spreadsheet. Heard they're useful for managing finances. Dude, Tyler snapped suddenly. Frustration finally breaking through. You've made your point. This is getting really serious. It was always serious, I countered sharply. You guys just pretended it wasn't because I quietly took care of everything. You mistook silence for simplicity. None of it was easy. I just made it look that way. And all the while you mocked me for being too intense. We weren't mocking you. You replaced me, I interrupted harshly. On our family trip, the trip I partially paid for, with a clown who wouldn't recognize a bass unless it danced on TikTok. And now you're surprised I'm done funding your lives." Tyler had nothing left to say, the silence deepening between us. Finally, I spoke again, my voice low, steady, and colder than I'd ever heard myself sound. "Tell everyone, I hope Blake's good vibes can keep you warm when the heat gets shut off." Then I hung up and drove back home, feeling lighter than I had in years. 3 days after I played silent spectator to their unraveling, a text buzzed in from Uncle Dave. He said there was going to be a family meeting at my parents' place the next evening, 7 p.m. They wanted to talk, apparently. He pitched it as a chance to clear the air. My first reaction, hard pass. I mean, the last time they talked, I ended up replaced and robbed. I texted back that I wasn't interested in walking into an ambush disguised as a conversation. He replied almost instantly. Promised he'd be there. Said it wasn't an ambush, just a mess of people finally realizing they'd lit their own house on fire, that I should at least hear them out. I didn't respond right away. Let it sit all day. I went back and forth. One part of me wanted to show up just to watch them squirm under fluorescent lights the same way I had while doing their dirty work for years. Another part of me wanted to delete the text, block every number and pretend they never existed. But Uncle Dave had always called it like it was. Never picked sides, never played games. If he said it was safe, I figured it probably was. So I sent one word back, the kind of reply you give when you're not there to reconnect, just to settle a score. I told him I'd be there. I showed up exactly on time, knocked instead of using my key. Small power move, but it felt important to establish that I was now a visitor, not family. Mom opened the door. Her eyes were puffy from crying. She moved to hug me, but I stepped past her, into the living room, where everyone was waiting. Dad on his recliner, Tyler on the couch, Sophia in the armchair looking sullen, Uncle Dave standing by the fireplace, arms crossed. No Blake in sight. "Where's your vibe guy?" I asked Sophia, not bothering with pleasantries. She looked down. We broke up. "Let me guess, when the Wi-Fi got cut off." Dad cleared his throat. "Marcus, we asked you here to talk, not to throw jabs." "Really?" "Because when I wanted to talk about the fishing trip, nobody seemed interested." The room went quiet. Uncle Dave nodded slightly, like fair point. Dad sighed. "We made a mistake. We should have talked to you about Blake coming along." "You didn't make a mistake," I corrected him. "You made a choice. Several choices, actually. You chose to exclude me. You chose to replace me. You chose to use my money to do it. Those were deliberate decisions." Mom started crying again. "We didn't think of it that way." "That's the problem. You didn't think. None of you ever do. Not about consequences. Not about how your actions affect others. You just live in the moment, expecting me to clean up after you." Tyler leaned forward. "Bro, we get it. You're pissed. But cutting everyone off like this. Mom and Dad might lose the house." I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. "You think I don't know that? I've been preventing that exact outcome for years. Every month, I've been quietly transferring money to cover the gap in their mortgage. Money none of you knew about because I didn't broadcast it. I just handled it like I handled everything." The look of shock on their faces was almost worth the price of admission. "How much?" Dad asked quietly. "How much have you been giving us?" "In the last 2.5 years? Almost $42,000 spread across all of you." Sophia gasped. "That's not possible." I pulled out my phone, opened a document, and started reading. "Tyler, $8,400 for tuition reinstatement, $3,800 for car down payment, but $600 for that emergency dental work last year." "Sophia, $4,200 for rent when you quit your job, $3,200 for your second car, $5,500 for that wellness coaching certification you absolutely needed." I kept going, item by item, dollar by dollar. The room grew more silent with each amount. When I finished, I looked up, and all I asked, literally the only thing I ever asked for in return, was respect for our family fishing tradition. The one thing that mattered to me. Uncle Dave cleared his throat. "I think what Marcus is saying is valid. You all took advantage, whether you meant to or not." Dad stood up suddenly. "Now wait a minute. We never asked for all that money." "Some of it you did." "The rest I gave because that's what family does. Until the family decides you're not really part of it anymore." "That's not fair," Mom said. "The trip was just one thing." "It wasn't just a trip. It was the one time I felt valued. The one time I wasn't just a checkbook, and you took even that from me. Sophia was crying now too. We didn't know how much you were doing for us. We thought you were just being controlling with all your planning and spreadsheets. Those controlling spreadsheets kept this family afloat. But you know what? I'm done. I'm not turning the money back on. This isn't a tantrum. It's not temporary. It's my new boundary. So what do you want? Tyler asked. An apology? Fine, we're sorry, truly. Now will you help? I stood up. I don't want anything from you. That's the point? I'm removing myself from this dynamic completely. You wanted Blake's vibes instead of my intensity. You got it. Deal with the consequences. As I moved toward the door, Dad called out, There's something else you should know. I turned. The cabin, he said. Uncle Dave and I are selling it? That hit me like a physical blow. What? Uncle Dave stepped forward. It's not my choice, Marcus. Your dad needs the money now, but I wanted you to know before it happened. The cabin, Grandpa's cabin, the last physical connection to a time when family actually meant something, about to be gone. You're selling it because you need my money but won't admit it, I said to my dad. So instead, you'll destroy the one thing that might have eventually brought us back together. Dad didn't deny it. When's the sale? I asked. Uncle Dave, listing goes live next week. Unless I start paying for everyone again. That's the deal. Dad had the decency to look ashamed at least. I walked to the door, stopped and turned back one last time. Check your loan documents, I told my dad. The cabin deed? What about it? Grandpa wasn't stupid when he left it to you and Uncle Dave. He included a clause. Any sale requires unanimous consent from all legal stakeholders. Go ahead. Check who those stakeholders are. The confusion on his face was priceless. When I turned 26, Grandpa's lawyer contacted me. I own 33% of that cabin. Silent partial ownership. I never mentioned it because it never mattered before. I looked at Uncle Dave. You knew? He nodded. I found out last year when I was sorting through some paperwork. Figured it wasn't my place to tell you. So we can't sell without your permission? Dad said slowly. Correct. And guess what? Permission denied. I opened the door. Marcus, wait, Mom called. What are we supposed to do now? I paused. Do what normal adults do. Get jobs, pay bills, face reality. Then I left, closing the door quietly behind me. 4 months passed. Winter turned to spring. I channeled my energy into work, got promoted, started dating someone new, a marine biologist named Kira who actually appreciates preparation and planning. Started going to therapy too, which helped me process the anger and learn to establish healthier boundaries. I hadn't spoken to my family since that meeting. Uncle Dave checked in occasionally, told me Tyler had taken a second job bartending nights. Sophia was working at a call center. My parents had started selling off possessions to keep the mortgage current. I felt nothing when I heard this news. Not satisfaction, not guilt, just nothing. Then on a rainy Wednesday, a package arrived in my apartment. No return address, just a small box. Inside was a single photograph. Me and my dad, shoulder to shoulder, holding up a base we'd caught together back in 2021, one of the better trips before things went to hell. On the back, written in my dad's distinctive handwriting, "You were the glue. We mocked you for being serious when we should have thanked you for holding us up." Also in the box, a check for the Mott 400i, exactly the amount of my cabin deposit. I sat with that photo for a long time, memories flooding back, good ones from before the betrayal, teaching Tyler to cast properly, evenings by the fire with Uncle Dave telling outrageous stories that probably weren't 100% true but made us laugh until our sides hurt. The next day, I cashed the check, but I didn't use the money for myself. I donated it under Blake's name to a wildlife refuge that rehabilitates exotic pets. Blake had once mentioned wanting a pet fox, so I figured he'd appreciate the irony of funding a place that actively discourages idiots like him from owning wild animals. 2 weeks later, I made a decision. I called my lawyer friend again. I need to buy out a property share, I told him. Your family cabin, he guessed. Yeah, I want to make an offer for my dad's portion. Fair market value. You're not reconciling with them? No, but I'm not letting the cabin go either. The legal process took time. My dad initially refused the offer out of pride. Then facing foreclosure on their house, he relented. So I now owned 2-3 of the cabin, with Uncle Dave retaining his third. We drew up a formal agreement. I would handle maintenance and could use it whenever I wanted. He had 5 weeks a year reserved for his use. The first thing I did was change the locks. Then I installed a full solar power system and satellite internet. Also built a new tackle storage area with a special place for Grandpa's old rod. I also added something new, a workshop in what used to be the smallest bedroom. Grandpa had been a woodworker in his spare time. I never had the chance to learn from him, but I found his old tools in the storage shed and started teaching myself. There is something calming about creating something with your hands, about the precision and patience it requires. The kind of intensity that actually builds something worthwhile. Memorial Day weekend, I drove up there alone, rolled down the windows as I approached, smelling pine and mountain air. Pulled up to the porch where I'd watched my family laughing with Blake just months earlier. It looked the same. Weathered logs, stone chimney, the bench Grandpa had carved from a fallen oak. But it felt different now. Quieter, mine. I unlocked the door, stepped inside, and set down my bags. No family drama, no chaos, no expectations. Just the cabin, the woods, and the freedom of knowing I'd reclaimed the one thing that had always mattered to me. That first night, I sat on the porch with a cup of coffee. When my phone buzzed, a text from Uncle Dave. "How's the place looking?" I sent back a photo of the sunset over the tree line. "Quieter now," I added. "They're asking about you," he replied after a while. "Wondering if you'll ever come around." I thought about that, about the family I'd propped up for years, about how quickly they'd replaced me when I wasn't fun enough, about how fast it all collapsed when I stepped away. "Not their decision anymore," I texted back. "This place has a new legacy now." I put the phone away and focused on the mountains ahead. No spreadsheets needed tonight. Just me, the cabin, and the knowledge that I'd finally drawn a line that couldn't be crossed. The next morning, Tyler texted me. "Did you really buy Dad's share of the cabin?" "Yep." "So what now? We're just done as a family?" I didn't answer right away. Watched an eagle circle overhead, riding thermals, with barely a flap of its wings. Effortless, free. "I'm not coming to Christmas," I finally texted back. "Or birthdays, or anything else. Right now, maybe someday, but not now. You all need to figure out your own lives without me fixing everything." And the cabin? Will we ever be welcome there again? I thought about Grandpa, about what he'd want, about the legacy he tried to create. Maybe someday, but not as guests, as equals. People who contribute rather than take, who appreciate rather than mock, who plan rather than just show up expecting everything to be perfect. He didn't respond to that. I didn't expect him to. That afternoon, I started a new spreadsheet. Plans for the cabin improvements, maintenance schedule, the kind of detailed, intense planning they always made fun of. But that kept things stable and functioning. At the bottom of the spreadsheet, I added a new tab, labeled it Future Fishing Parties. I left it blank for now. Maybe someday, years from now, when they've learned to stand on their own, when they've figured out that good vibes don't pay bills or maintain relationships, when they've earned back some measure of respect. Maybe then I'll start filling it in. Or maybe not. Either way, I'll be fine. Because they called me controlling, called me too intense, called me a buzzkill. Turns out I wasn't the problem. I was the solution they never deserved. And now I was free.